Welcome in, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. So, I mean, we're talking today. All right, so I guess I'll introduce this. This is the inaugural. We're gonna be doing this every Saturday. We're gonna be talking about different topics in regards to Facebook as a platform. You all as streamers, for anybody who is a streamer or considering streaming in the future. And we may talk about other platforms and other things. In fact, I'm sure we'll you know, branch out to that sort of stuff. But we'll be covering different things every week. We may have guests on, we may not have guests on. I think you and I both kind of said if we can find somebody who's good for the podcast, we'll bring them on, and if not, we got the two of us.
Yeah, me and Panda started this up. We decided to kind of talk about streaming and help people, as many people out as possible, because I feel like we get a lot of we don't get a lot of information from Facebook. We get there, if you're in the Level Up group, you'll get little information here and there, tidbits of like secrets to the Facebook algorithm. But overall, I think me and Panda have been like trying to figure out the best way to work it.
Yes.
And I think you know, how successful my page is and how we've turned around Panda's page has been really a test to us, you know, checking out everything and figuring out how to the best possible way to move forward. And it seems like it's working. So I feel like we are somewhat of experts to an extent of what we're doing. And Panda's been doing it a lot longer than I have. But I learned quickly. So if you have a core following and you start a new game, I believe Facebook pushes it out for you. I've noticed that, like when I play ATS or something like that. Like now when I play Among Us, I don't get featured ever. I don't get featured. But if I play ATS,
you have a good core there as well too.
Even
with Among Us.
Oh yeah, I got a big core. Yeah, and so like when I play ATS though, Facebook's like, okay, this isn't a normal game for him, so let's go ahead and push it out to as many people, and that's why it went up to like, you know, 3.3 thousand viewers. And so I think that's really interesting. But who knows?
Yeah. But you're not wrong there. I believe the core, you know, building up that community and rebuilding it, as you know, astutely pointed out for myself, is it'll help. It'll help. And I've been asking people, you know, what do you want to see? What games? New games? All that sort of stuff. So I think, you know, when we get there, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. And we're going to keep pushing forward with this sort of stuff. So
yeah, definitely.
Today, what we're going to talk about, it should say in the description, but we're going to talk about specifically if you want to start on this platform, what sort of equipment should you be looking at, what sort of applications you should be looking to download. I think there were a couple other things on there as well too. Programs to run on your you know, your PC or what have you, as well as a couple other little things here too.
Yeah.
So when you started, man, like where did you go to reference, like where did you go to garner your information, or did you just kind of self-start?
All the information I got it came off YouTube, but it was very, very loose, right? It was like there wasn't like any set, like, hey, you need to do this and this to get started. It was just kind of like you had to kind of find and piece that information off for yourself.
Yeah.
And so and a lot of, you know, Harris, what is it? Harris Heller?
Yep.
Is it?
That's the guy.
Yeah, that was like some of the first stuff that I watched, but he kind of covers everything. He does talk about platforms here and there, but he's a Twitch streamer.
Right.
That does YouTube videos also. So it kind of, it's a mixture between these two. There was no one really that was out there pushing Facebook information at all.
Right.
And there still really isn't. And so that's kind of where, you know, me and Panda decided to get into this and figure out the algorithm as best as we can and really get into it. So
like Byte said, we don't really see people pushing information or trying to push things out as far as Facebook is concerned. So we hope to kind of be at the forefront of that.
But yeah, like one of the first things that I wanted to talk to people about, I know a lot of people that are probably watching that are streaming, they probably have already named their page, but the nice thing is that Facebook you can rename your page. I think once a month or something like that, or every 30 days. But I want everybody, like, before, if they're going to go out there and start streaming, I want them to really, really concentrate on that name, because this is the name that you're going to be going by, right? So if you guys don't know, when I first started out, I was Bytes Gig Gaming, right? Bytes Gig Gaming. It was this massive, like, Bytes Gig Gaming, right? And from there, like as time went on, I started getting known as just Bytes, not Bytes Gig or anything like that.
Right.
And then it dropped down. Now it's just Bytes, right? So I changed it. I changed my page now to Bytes, and it's kind of like similar with like Panda. Like we call Panda, right?
Right.
We don't call him like Tambourine Panda that much. We say just Panda. And so when you're choosing your name, if you guys look into it, look up things that are easy to say, that are very like, on their own, set apart. And I honestly say take out the gaming part of it out of your title, because everybody's going to know you're gaming, because that's where you're going to get featured. Like when you're on Facebook gaming, you're already gaming. You don't need gaming into your page. It adds this like, I don't know. It just adds this weird thing to it. And it's very like kind of everybody's doing it. So I would suggest just having a name and build that community around that name, not so much gaming, because you might do some other stuff too. You never know. But my personal recommendation to people that haven't created their page or want to rename it and are thinking about it, keep it simple and just take out the gaming stuff out of there.
I would piggyback on that. That used to be Tambourine Panda Gaming, like that whole mouthful, and he's like, bro, why don't you just drop the gaming from your name?
Yeah, no, I think you have it simple. It's Tambourine Panda. It's simple, it's unique.
Yeah.
But then everybody knows what your nickname is, and that's just Panda. Like,
right.
I mean, like Ginge Dad is saying, like Ginge Dad makes sense to me. Like that's simple, that's straightforward. He doesn't have Ginge Dad Gaming. I think Ruff could change it to just Ruff. RUFF, like, and it would just sound good. Moon Mochi is a great name too. Like all these people, like they already have it. But if you're thinking about renaming, because I went and rated somebody yesterday, I can't remember what his name was, but it was a small X, a large X, a full name, and then a large X and a small X, right? He wanted to make it look cool. But the problem with that is when people go to search for you or something like that,
they got to put that in there. The X's. It's like old
Exactly.
MySpace. It's like old MySpace. You remember that from back in the XX, Valerie, XX, heart, kissy face. Like, who's going to find that? No, you're absolutely correct.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's okay if you use the at. See, my ad is still at Bytes Gig Gaming. Right?
Mine's still Tambourine Panda Gaming. They won't let me change it either. I've tried to change it. Yeah. They won't let me change it to Tambourine Panda. It's weird.
But that doesn't. It's not really that. It's your title of your name and your page, and I think that's the big part right there. But yeah, and underscores. Yes, Ginge Dad. Please remove underscores.
Like you said, like Bytes or Panda or Ginge Dad or whatever. You're like, wait a minute, well, this is just the redundancy. Like, I'm gaming on a gaming platform. Why do people need to know that I'm a gaming?
Yeah, exactly.
Why does gaming need to be in my name? So cut the fat, man. Less is more in a lot of cases in regard to content creation.
If you guys ever heard of Blippi, right? He's a YouTube star. He got bought out by, I think, Amazon. He does videos for Amazon here. My kids love him, right? It's a kids show. But he researched everything down to the colors, right? So he wears a light blue color and an orange because he knows those two things invoke trust, right? As soon as we look at it, these are the kind of things that you need to be looking at when you're creating your logos, when you're creating, right? You guys want this when you're making that page name. Make sure you're making, a good one that you're going to enjoy later on down the road and that you want to be known by.
I mean, there's many different ways that you can market yourself. Like I think what Bytes is saying is, first of all, make it something easy that people are going to keep in their mouths, easy to say, easy to repeat, keep it in easy to remember.
Yeah.
And then find whatever makes you unique.
A perfect example of this is good branding is Ginge Dad. Take a look at, if you guys get an opportunity, take a look at Ginge Dad, right? He has built everything around his hair color essentially, right? But he adds to it, so all of his logos, everything like that, like just go and play into that. It's really, really good. And it's he took something that is him and he made it bigger, and it's really easy to remember it. And I think that's a really good, like if you watch his streams, it's his colors. It's just, it's really good. And I think his branding is exceptional. That's just my personal, like, if you're just about to start a page or before you name your page, right? Just really think about what you're going to name yourself and where you're going to go with it in the end game.
Yeah, none of this stuff is to say like, well, you're a bad
Yeah.
streamer for putting
Yeah,
gaming
yeah,
at the
yeah.
end of your name. You know what I mean? These are just our personal insight to, you know, smaller streamers or people starting out that are like, hey, you know, what should I do here? Or, like, give me some advice, or like, what do you do, or whatever it may be. And you know, that's again why we came together to do this podcast. I know someone did have a question for you as far as why Facebook over Twitch, or like, why did you make the initial switch from Twitch after that first stream to Facebook? That was a while ago though, so I don't know if you want to answer that or not.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't. You streamed on Twitch here and there, right, Panda?
I have. I mean, with yeah.
What do you? Well, I mean, what do you see from your perspective between Twitch and Facebook?
I think Twitch has better viewer interface. By that I mean you can do more by redeeming channel points. It's a great way to be very interactive with your chat. Things seem to be incorporated more for the viewers, like to interact with the streamer itself, and for the streamer to interact with the viewer. Facebook, on the other hand, and this will always be the argument for Facebook, is they have the built-in community.
Twitch is all about how many viewers you have. A lot more. They changed it up a little bit in their algorithm. It used to be top views has top spot, and then you have to go all the way down to the bottom. But now it's a little bit better. It's, you know, it's more grid, so you can be found a little bit easier. But definitely, I would start on Facebook as your first platform if you're going to move anywhere else. And you might want to stay because you enjoy it, but Facebook, hands down, is the easiest place to be found. It is the easiest place to be found, like Panda was saying. So that's really interesting. You're not going to get that with Twitch, because Twitch, people go to watch games, right?
Right.
And they go in there and they have to download an app, and they have to find their streamers, and they already know who their streamer is. So it's hard to be found on there. And this YouTube, it's more working with your thumbnails and your descriptions and your tags that are going to be what gets you found on YouTube.
Right.
But Facebook is kind of like, man, like there's some days like I was streaming Animal Crossing yesterday, and it was the most people I've seen streaming Animal Crossing. I would say about 8 or 9 people were streaming it, you know, like some of the bigger names. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But that's only 8 or 9. You go to Twitch and there's like 150 people streaming that one game, you know, like
true story, man.
You know, and and so right now we have an opportunity here on Facebook to really get in on the ground level and go with it. And I think that's why. But
you should embrace yourself with the logoing. Ruff had a good point last night. He was talking about like doing something old and vintage, like an old clothing style logo.
Welcome to the
back from like the 70s or 80s. And he showed me some examples, and I was like, that's good, man. Like that's a good way to kind of embrace yourself through your logo. And I just wanted to add that point. Like when you're thinking about your logos, look at what everybody else has and do something other than that. Like I wish I had when I first got a logo.
Even honestly, I don't even use my logo that much.
No, you don't. You pictures. You do pictures.
Yeah.
Welcome
I do pictures. So if you guys ever go to YouTube, I want to spill a little bit of knowledge here that I have from YouTube. On YouTube, it is proven that people will click on somebody's face before they'll click on just like pictures or cartoons. It makes it more personal. You don't even realize it, but it makes it more personal. That's why thumbnails are so critical. So definitely having a good thumbnail and having your face as the forefront is great. Unless you're known for something else, I suggest using your face as a profile picture, because it makes it more personal. It draws people in that way. Definitely with the logo, I would have your face on it. That way people know what they're getting into. Also, this one I didn't do it on, but I usually always have a background that's a bright color, right? That's always like a bright pink or a red or a bright blue, whatever it is, because you can just get your head cut out, PNG, and then put it in the background. That way, when someone is watching you in chat and they go, whoa, like look at chat right now. You see, when I look at chat, I see Panda's thumbnail pop up before anything else, right? That bright green pops out, right? Yeah. You want that. You want that because, for one, when you're networking with other streamers on Facebook, you're messing, you're not going to go in there and just be like, hey, follow my page and post their link. You get in there, which is 100% acceptable to get in on your page. It is 100% acceptable. As long as you're not just spamming follow me on there, just get in there and be like, hey, you know, like, oh, what game is this? Oh, I love this game, and just start talking to them. I talk to the gaming pages all the time in my chat, you know. And just that little tiny, like bright logo, someone might be like, I wonder what that is, and they click on it, and guess what? They're on your page now, and that's when you can rope them in there.
Right. We were talking a little bit before this about one of the applications that you think might be useful in regard to possibly producing these sorts of images yourself. Nothing really additional or extra. It was what, Beezart is what it's called. You want to talk about that a little bit?
God, my wife's gonna kill me. I think it's Bizart.
Bizart.
I think that's how you say it. It's B-A.
Bizart.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying it wrong for a long time. My wife always corrects me on it, and I'm like, am I even saying it right now? I'll give you guys the spelling. All right. It's B-A-Z-A-A-R-T. B-A-Z-A-A-R-T. Right. Bizart.
Bizart.
I pay for the full version, but I absolutely love it. I make all of my thumbnails. You guys look at my thumbnails. I make all of them through Bizart. It's super simple and easy, and it is amazing. I mean, you can do so much. I can throw a picture of myself. I can take a picture like right now in a selfie, and then jump in there, create a thumbnail, and then hit just cut out, and it'll cut out my body perfectly with no lines or anything like that. And then I can add an outline to it and post it up there, and then boom, I have my thumbnail. It's so simple. You guys got to try it out. And I think if you pay for it, it's like $3.99 for a month, but it is so worth it. It's your thumbnails are so critical. I mean, if you go to your search bar in your personal Facebook and you type in your favorite game, type in Among Us, and go in there and see what you see. You will see all these streamers, and maybe one or two of them will have a nice thumbnail. The rest of them, it's them like, you know, we've talked about this, like that, you know, the peace sign going up, and then that's it. And you're like, what's going on in this game? I always add in text. I always add in a question. I always add in something that invokes the reader to go, because they're not going to read your full title. They're going to read probably the first word, right? Yeah. And then, or the first two words, right? Kind of like how our title is Learning Facebook, right now. So we're probably people that see it. Well, there's nowhere this is really going out to because we can't tag anything yet. But, you know, when you guys are sharing this out to those follow pages, that's where it's going to go, and they're going to see this. They're going to see the description, and when it's a share, it's the description, and when it's being featured, it's the title. I don't know if you guys know that. So that's why they should kind of match each other a little bit, but yeah, and so just that thumbnail is gonna be the most important thing to draw people in. So make sure you're getting a good thumbnail. But Bizart is what I use. I don't know, Panda. Tori helps you with the thumbnail, right? She does.
For me, what I'm gonna start using that for is like the Instagram posting and stuff like that, like putting little promos out there for Instagram. Instagram and Facebook are tied together, and like if you're not using Instagram, you're like cutting off one of your legs for marketing yourself through Facebook. Your cameras on your phones are actually quite good. Get some natural lighting, snap a picture, find someone who can do some quick and easy thumbnails for you for cheap. And it takes Tori literally 5 minutes to throw a thumbnail together for me.
I agree with that. I think the way Panda has been moving is absolutely beautiful. Like the graphics that I see coming out, and Tori's amazing at that kind of stuff. She is really good at it. So it adds that element too, you know, like making your schedule and everything like that for sure. So yeah, but Panda, what do you use for your streaming? Like, what is your do you like use Stream Elements, Streamlabs, OBS? What?
Good question. I currently use Streamlabs OBS. I know a lot of streamers use a lot of variations, OBS, Stream Elements, like you just said. For me personally, the use of Streamlabs, I use Streamlabs OBS right now because I have Prime, which is $20 a month. And you have access to the ability to create your own overlays, which is how I created all of this for the podcast and all my stuff that I use on my normal streams. But again, that's $20 a month. What I'm thinking about right now, and Streamlabs is great for your kind of like introductory, your intro foray into streaming. I don't want to say it holds your hand more than OBS does, but it does kind of hold your hand a little bit more. The one thing that I don't like about Streamlabs, where I'm considering moving over to OBS, two things. One, OBS I've heard is less.
Welcome to the Panda
It's less of an impact on your computer's resources. That's for that's first.
It's CPU. Yeah.
Right. The second thing is there are things that I can do, and I'm going to reference the main man, Harris Heller, here again. There are things that I cannot do with Streamlabs OBS with transitioning that I want to do and can do via OBS, like fade in camera transitions and a whole bunch of other advanced transitioning that I'd like to do to move over. But if you're looking for something to easily get started on, Streamlabs OBS is a great tool for beginner streamers. 100%.
Yep.
100%.
100. Yep. Yeah. That's what I'm still using too. Yeah, that's what I'm still using is Streamlabs OBS. I you know, we've talked about it before, me switching over to OBS. I think when the time comes around, like maybe closer to when like I feel like I'm gonna make partner or something like that, I'll kind of make that transition so that I can have more control over it for sure. Because I feel like Streamlabs, but I'll probably pay it out to have a professional do it for me. Everything so that my transitions and everything are really clean. But that's, you know, that's another one of those investments that, you know, if you're doing well and you're pushing forward and you feel like this is going to be something big for you, then I definitely, all the money that you invest into it is going to go back into the stream. So yeah.
And here's to that, to piggyback that point a little bit. And again, I'll reference Harris. If you guys haven't checked this guy out on YouTube yet, by the way, go check him out. He's 100% invested in production value, quality of your stream, advanced techniques, simple things that you can do to make, you know, a C920 Logitech webcam look like a DSLR cam, like things like that. Go check him out. Alpha Gaming on YouTube. This is where I was going with this.
Welcome to the
for me personally right now, the conundrum that I'm finding myself in, and I don't know if you are too, Bites, or not, is, you know, do I feel like my content is pushing forward enough to justify the expense of paying like a video editor or, you know, someone to create like an overlay or transitions for me? In my case, it's, you know, finding someone to do, you know, my review video edits. When it comes to the question, because a lot of streamers will ask themselves this: do I upgrade my stuff? Do I get something new that's going to update my performance, or do I spend the resources on something that my viewers are going to see? And I would always, that's why I referenced Harris Heller, I would always defer to do something first that your viewers are going to get to experience, as opposed to, you know, let me beef my computer up with a, you know, one of the 3090 graphics cards, you know, with the resources that I have. Yeah, it'll make your gameplay and your streaming more effective, but like it's not something that your viewers can participate in, or that you can, you know, get excited for and show your viewers, you know, like the lights or the transitions or whatever. Sorry, I tend to get a little wordy, Bites. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that or not.
No. I think you're right with that. I think if like let's say my computer's been good for me for a long time, right? It's a pre-owned computer, everything like that, but it's meeting what it needs to. And lately I've been having some issues with it, and I'm like, okay, it's time. So I bought a new computer. It'll be here in January. But with that, I'll be able to do better games and everything like that. But I think I really think concentrating on your transitions, creating good overlays that look nice. That's something that me and Molly have talked about a lot, because I am mine isn't that great, honestly. I'll be honest with you guys. Mine isn't that great. My transitions are kind of and all of that. And I need to sit down and really concentrate, figure out where my where I want to go, if I want to stick with the logo that I have now, or what it's going to be, and then go from there. I do need to work on that personally, but I do use Streamlabs also, and I think it's really good. But yeah, one day we'll be moving over to OBS one of these days, just because there is more to do with it.
Likewise, man. I'm right there with you as far as the move to OBS. Did you want to talk about like some of your equipment that you utilize? If you want to talk about maybe how you started 9 months ago and what you had.
I was making YouTube videos prior to that, and I had a Canon M50, so that's where I kind of started out. But my I was using a MacBook. And I don't know if you guys know how hard that is to stream through a MacBook. But yeah, like trying to get everything to work correctly with a MacBook, and you're using like Canon and stuff like that, it's just it was difficult, like just trying to run things through there. But I got it working through that. But I mean, there was a time where I used my GoPro as a camera. I used my phone. I used EpoCam as my phone to try to get it to see if that was better. Because my M50, if you guys are going to go out and buy a DSLR or something like that to get it, make sure first of all, make sure that it works with that it's clean HDMI out.
Super important. Super important.
I have clean HDMI out because when you get your Elgato Cam Link with that, it's not going to have that clean HDMI, and you're not going to have autofocus. It's going to come out blurry. And it's such my camera was so nice too. So definitely make sure you check that out if you're going to go out. I would suggest starting with just a webcam or use your phone. There's all kinds of apps out there that you can use. EpoCam is one of them that I've used actually before. And that allows the video transfer over on Streamlabs. And then I've seen Quilpy. I saw Quilpy in the chat. Quilpy was using a green cardboard hung up on her, or what are those sheets of paper? The green construction paper, stapled to her wall behind her as a green screen.
You gotta get creative, man. You gotta get creative sometimes. Seriously. And
I was like, that's genius. This is exactly those kind of things, you know. Like you don't have to go out there and buy this, like, you know, like I have the Elgato the green screen that I just can pull up right behind me, right? And it's not necessary. It really is. It's nice because it keeps my room clean and I don't like clutter. But like, you could use a green sheet. You can use a blue sheet as long as you're not wearing blue. You can use it because it allows you to do that. So definitely check into that before you go out and spend a ton of money. And then hang it up with the little pins from the ceiling if you want to do that. But I would suggest going with a green screen unless you have like a beautiful background or something like that. Like my background's, I've been working on it, but it's not where I want it to be yet.
Can tell.
But I'll probably always use a green screen because I think the people that I stream to enjoy a green screen more than a background. But then I can use it for these podcasts and stuff like that, which is nice. Or my Thirsty Thursdays or something, whatever it is.
Yeah, mine's a green. Like I don't use mine because of the whole background thing right now, but like if I ever do, it's literally like a green circle that like velcros to the back of my chair. So you gotta, I mean, you gotta get creative with your setup sometimes. Now I wanted to add to that too, because we were talking about apps that are possibly good apps for utilizing. Now I will say this, at least in my setup, like with my Wi-Fi and all my stuff being upstairs and my router being downstairs, this app probably doesn't work quite as crisply as it would if my router was sitting right next to my computer. However, there's an app called NDI. N is in Nancy, D is in David, I is in Ivan. Now, if you have an iPhone 8 or better, these iPhone cameras, and I'm sure this is the same with Androids too. I haven't tested it with Android. I think my brother has personally, and it works just fine with his phone. Your camera on your phone is probably better quality than like a Logitech C920. And it does cost money to get the NDI application, but it is a one-time $20 cost. You get yourself, hold on, let me put out here. I don't have it attached anymore. You get yourself one of these nifty little buggers right here. You can get a short one, you can get a big one. You just attach it to the very back of your desk and you attach your phone right there, and you can utilize your phone as a 1080p 60 frames per second camera for for a one-time cost of $20. Better than $80 or $90 for a Logitech. Better than the $500 that I spent on this DSLR camera that I'm using. So another good application. You obviously need to have decent Wi-Fi for it to ping back to your Streamlabs, and you need to activate it in Streamlabs or in OBS or whatever. But that's an excellent NDI. N is in Nancy, D is in David, I is in Ivan. Good stuff to use if you have nothing but your phone.
I want you guys to know, like when we stream and it's like, I mean, you see like pretty large numbers. It's not the same as standing in front of those people. It's much different. You're in your safe place. You're in your safe zone. all you have is this camera that's looking back at you, and it's a different feeling, for sure. But I think just imagine like you're playing with your best friend on the couch sitting next to you, and you're talking about the game that way, and you're like, oh man, did you see that? Like, that's crazy, you know, like, and that's the kind of things that you want to be doing to keep those people around. Because if you have you ever seen like the stream, like I do it all the time, because I always love looking at like really small streamers that have like 1 or 2 viewers, and most of the time that's them, right? Viewing back on their own stream, but they're like sitting there and they're like this, like they're just like playing their game. They're not saying a single word. They're just staring at the game because there's no one to talk to in the chat. But I want you to know that people might rewatch that video later on down the road, and they might like you because of you know, who you are or whatever. But just talk to them. Like Jekyll does a great job. He started you know, he's gotten a little bit of a head start than other people, I feel like, but he does a really good job of explaining the game that he's playing, and kind of like a tutorial almost.
I feel like he would be a great guest for one of these podcasts, because he, I know like he's one of those kinds of things where like he never has to get on a camera. He won't ever have to, because his voice will absolutely carry him. Yeah, exactly. Sorry to interject that. Go ahead.
That he's able to talk to it. Just imagine your best friend sitting on the couch, just going at it, and talk about that game. That's the best way to do it. That's what I did. I mean, I played what was it, Dead Side for a while, and like I would get like, you know, sometimes up to 5 viewers, you know, and I was pretty happy with that. But like some of them wouldn't talk at all, so I'll just talk about the game. I'll be like, man, this gun's pretty cool. I don't know if I really like it, actually. It's hard, you know, to shoot. And then I'll be like, oh my god, like, and I'll just make my own commentary in my head, which I'm really good at for doing that for years for my dogs, you know, like just making up their own commentary. But yeah, just like kind of go with that, and you know, if you can, play with a friend that's not as strongly verbal, because you don't want them to overpower you when people go in there. So just play with them, and you can talk to them about the game. Be like, all right, I'm heading up here, and then someone hops in chat, and they know to be a little bit more quiet while you're going into, you know, talking to chat. And that's really where it needs to be at. That's where like you just gotta keep talking.
Agree.
But like
agree.
But talk about the game. Don't just do a nervous ramble. When you first started out, how did you keep people around in your stream?
Well, I didn't start off necessarily the best as far as like narrating myself or playing games that I played well. So it was a learning process for me. Me personally, like I get really afraid when I go and talk in front of people, like a crowd. Like I get really anxious, really nervous. But like you said, like the thought in my head was really strong when I first started of none of these people I actually have to look at. I don't even have to picture a naked crowd. You know what I mean? Like it's that, like there is no crowd. What I did initially was I never looked at viewers ever, never looked at those numbers, live viewers. And you just start to learn how to narrate your gameplay, and my personality, I suppose, was something that I tried to glom onto, and I think I realized right away. For me personally, it's not, people aren't coming in here to watch my sweaty gameplay. They're coming in here to interact. They're coming in here for the personality. So I started catering the intros of my streams a little bit more to that. Like I sometimes will go for an hour of just nothing but talking before I even fire up a game. So I think it's the evolution. Like for me, it was the evolution of like trying to figure that out as a gamer and an entertainer and a content creator. And I mean, for some of you out there, you're not gonna, you know, you're not gonna figure it out right away, and that's totally fine. Like it's an ever-changing thing. Like if you're not changing in content creation, you're dying. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're evolving. Yeah.
If you're not evolving, you're dying. So it's I mean, yeah, that's probably the best way that I can answer your question. Was at the beginning I wasn't really sure of what my pathway would be, but at this point I look at myself more of an entertainer than an actual like game player, if that, like a strict gamer, or like an MLG, or like an esports pro, or people, like I said, people aren't coming in to watch me, you know, have a 10 kill death in Warzone or anything like that. So just trying to cater that.
They're gonna watch me die 10 times in Warzone.
That's what's gonna happen, exactly. And being interactive and engaging in chats, man. Like there are just games that you can't do that with. And if you're that kind of person, that you like to engage with your chats and acknowledge the reactions and stuff. Like, it's killing me right now to not like be like, thanks everybody for the like, thank you for the stars, thank you here. But I want to keep the conversation rolling, you know what I mean? You know, maybe don't play games like Warzone or Apex or things where you can't really focus on and engaging with your community, you know?
Yeah, I think, especially when you're learning how to read chat and play video games, because it's not as easy as one may think. Getting into these games, like, I mean, you guys see me on ATS. When I'm playing ATS and I'm reading the chat, I'm like swerving all over the freaking road. You know, there's a reason why it's illegal in real life. So like, but I'm reading this chat. I'm trying to keep up with stars. I'm trying to keep up with new supporters. I'm trying to keep up with everything. And it is so much, but it's so worth it. It's so much fun. But I've trained myself for it. 8 months of training for it that I've been doing it. So it comes a little bit easier for me. And it don't be, if you pop off like really quick and it starts going fast, pick and choose who you pick, or the topics that you choose. It's really interesting to see how you evolve though. And you'll continue to evolve, as you do it more often. But yeah, I think if last case scenario, you can't think of anything to talk about fast food, talk about food.
Now you guys know. Food. Now you know why I'm always eating shit on my streams, man. Like, because half the time I don't know what the hell to talk about. So I'm just like, breakfast sandwiches. Yeah. What am I eating? Bacon and egg and cheese breakfast sandwich and coffee. Yeah. What are you eating today?
Yeah, it's an amazing, ever evolving. People have so many different opinions. There's so many different foods out there. It's a great topic to get onto. Onto piggyback, like with connecting with chat is really good. Don't look at it as like your numbers need to be high. Look at each person. Okay. I think, oh God, how many videos do I have? I think I have like
this 100%.
190 videos, right? Every time I usually try to find someone that's new in the chat, and I really concentrate. Well, lately it's been a little bit more difficult because there's been a lot of people coming in the chat. But like when it was like just, you know, like 10 to 40 people, 50 people in there, I would go in there and I'd find that one person. I'd go, you know, oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, well, welcome. You know, we're glad to have you in the community. Like, what's your favorite this, you know? And they start getting active in chat. And then if other people start talking to them, then you're doing really good. That means that they are now like kind of like accepted into this community. And as you grow bigger, it's a lot harder. But not only on top of that, after my stream ends, I go back and I find that person, or I find as many people as I can. I comment back to them and I say, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope I see you again. And sometimes I'll get a conversation going on my old comments and they'll be like, oh, thanks. You know, this is really funny. I played this game for a long time, and I'll be like, oh, that's a really cool game. And now I've just made this further than beyond connection with them. And now they're kind of a part of the community, and this is engaging with viewers off stream. But when you're a growing content creator, this is a critical thing to do.
But yeah, like in engaging on Facebook, engaging on these other platforms. Like I hate to talk about Twitter because it's not like Facebook, but I say it a lot and I'll say it again. Like, I hate Twitter personally. But
I do too.
But I have to, like, you should be on there if you're a content creator, like, and at the very least, networking and trying to build those connections above and beyond your streams and whatnot. You know, collaborate with. I know you said collaborate, but that's what I see content creators on from Facebook doing on Twitter. Hey, I need another one for Warzone. Hey, who wants to get down with me in the squad at 7 p.m. or whatever? Like, this is at its very base, simplistic functionality. Like, that's what you should be using Twitter for.
But yeah, connecting with your community is such a critical aspect, and you're not just building up your page, you're building a community of people that are like-minded in a lot of ways, right? They're like-minded in a lot of ways, and they become real life friends, and they feel like connected to you, and you guys are all friends. Okay, that's how you have to look at it. And just, you know, like, there's some sweaty Warzone players out there that don't connect with their but they get a lot of views, and that's because they have something else. That's because they're sweaty. They're able to lure people in with their gameplay solely, right? If you're not one of those people, you have to be interacting. If you're just a mediocre Warzone player, I mean, if you guys, he's not mediocre, but if you guys check out Halford Sucks, he's an awesome Warzone player. He plays on controller, which is awesome, but man, he keeps up with chat like nobody's business. You know, he's a Facebook partner now. He's bringing in massive amounts of views, hitting 1.1 thousand in engagement every stream, like amazing. And he did that because he built a community around himself, and he was able to get back to the comments. If you're sitting there playing the game and you're like, why aren't people chatting? But you're playing this game that invokes all of your attention to it, you're doing it wrong. You got to like hunker down somewhere for a second, talk to your chat, let them know what's up, and then move on from there, and then hunker down again. Keep doing that, because if you're missing comments, you're not streaming, you're just playing for people, and that's it. It's just you got to be a little bit you got to engage the community. We want to keep these streams like kind of short and get the information out there for like, but this one was more about starting out, naming your page. We talked about some of the apps that we used when we were earlier on. We talked about Streamlabs, Stream Elements, OBS, all the different, check out which one you like the most. You can sign up for all of them free, and you can test them out and see which one you want. But definitely just starting to get streaming on Facebook is really interesting. But yeah, make sure your profile picture is dignified, interesting. Like when I look at Destination Moist, right? His profile picture, is really interesting to me. It looks really good. And so it almost makes me want to click on it, and check them out more, which I've already checked them out. But, like from a viewer standpoint, that's what you want. And nobody in here is coming in here and saying, hey, here's my stream, follow me, I'm new, or any of that stuff. You guys are asking questions. You guys are engaging with the streamers that are, giving you guys some advice here and there. So that's exactly what you do in everybody's stream. Everybody has these beautiful little bubbles that they're within. And the only way to break through to another bubble is to go over to that stream and start talking to them, and never, ever self-promote yourself, ever. Later on down the road, you can message them and be like, hey, you want to do a collab? And if they can, they can. But yeah, it's all about connection. It's all about doing that. But as soon as you self-promote or something like that, you're not going to be going anywhere positive. Yeah. So
I agree. Not sure if you had anything else that you wanted to add to that. I agree with everything that you just said there. Build your connections. Think about how you're branding yourself. Check out the apps that we talked about, as well as some of the other ones that people mentioned in the chat I saw today. Again, thank you to everybody for coming out. Thank you guys so much. Thank you again to Bites for we're going to be doing this, like I said, every week now, me and him. Sometimes with guests, sometimes not. But thank you to him for pushing through the early stage issues that we had here. And thank you for the insights, and as always, coming on and spending some time with us, man.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Panda. We'll figure this out more and make it better for you guys. And I mean, honestly, even if it wasn't streaming on Facebook, if you're streaming straight to Discord or something like that, I think it'd be kind of cool. But I don't know. We'll have to figure all that stuff out later. All right, everybody, go check out Serve, and we'll catch you all on the flip side. Remember, supporter games later this afternoon. Peace. Yep. Pandites out.